talking about aligning outcomes or looking at purposes, let's talk about a really, really, really weird decision that is being made by Elon Musk, where he is promoting that he is going to rebrand Twitter to X. Now, there was a whole bunch of stuff about this, and it's really interesting. So what's happening is Elon Musk has actually had X.com ever since he pretty much was running PayPal and stuff like that. It was actually, X was redirected to PayPal, and then so it's been around. It's been around, and it's always been his vision to own or to have an app which is an everything app, right? Which is kind of to match the Weibo of China, which is Weibo, which is WeChat and WePay and all that sort of stuff that they have. Like they've got one app which kind of is all their social media, is their payments, is their everything's done through this pretty much just one app. And Elon wants to create that, and he's been calculating this from a long time. And I actually kind of think that it's part of the reason why he got into crypto and that, like, how he pumped Dogecoin and all that craziness that he did. I wonder if all that, whether he's going to be using Dogecoin in this app as well. But obviously buying Twitter, that was a big step to him creating this everything app, because he now has all the infrastructure. He doesn't have to build it out. He could just buy it and it's running with users and everything. However, he's now wanting to rebrand Twitter to just X and get rid of all the birds and all the tweets and everything like that. But there's a lot of uproar, because obviously people love Twitter. People who use Twitter are in love with Twitter. Like I think that's a big thing. And if you're watching this in Australia, like I know a lot of our audience is, you probably just don't get it, because Australians aren't that big on Twitter. But the Americans love their Twitter, and the people that are into Twitter are really, really into Twitter. And so for it to go through a branding change is going to be a bit of a challenge. So, Dr. Rod, talking about leaders making tough decisions, obviously we're talking about purpose, and Elon Musk was always trying to drive towards, his ultimate purpose is to create this X app, right? This everything app. He's upsetting a few people. So how do we, first of all, what do you think of this situation of him trying to change Twitter and also trying to create this everything app?
Well, I think the first thing to say is it's a lot more than a rebranding exercise. It's a rebuilding the whole platform. There are risks associated with that, because it won't be Twitter anymore.
No.
Neither will it. It won't be Twitter either in name or in function. So if it's very popular, and it definitely is in the United States, if it's very popular, you know what will happen? Someone else will develop something similar. And he could lose a lot of revenue as a result of that. So there's a risk for him on the other hand. Making it an everything app, and all things app could well expand his market. It's just that it won't be Twitter anymore. And people who use Twitter for Twitter purposes, they just want to tweet. They may well find another platform altogether.
I kind of, like, I get his, like, he loves the letter X, right? He's got SpaceX and he's got this X. He's always like, I think he even named one of his kids X or something. I get that it's actually kind of cool branding. I get it. But I wonder if they've had the conversation of like, okay, so it's now going to be called X. So Twitter was called Twitter and you tweeted from it, and it was a bird. So it was kind of like, what are we going to do this? You X from the X app or what? So I'm sure they've had those conversations. So there's going to be those little kind of nuances that are a part of our vocabulary. Like when someone does something, it's just like Xeroxing it, or, I'm just going to tweet it, right? Or Google it, right? Like it's just been synonymous with the name. So I just wonder how much a decision to try to move forward is actually going to lose, I suppose, without the heart and soul of the actual app itself. I suppose that many times, I mean, there's quite often we as business owners or business and ministry leaders and political leaders, wherever you're leading, we can get caught up in trying to run forward and forget the past, which kind of contrasting of what you said about Daniel Ricciardo is it was really good that Daniel Ricciardo was able to forget what happened, like with the accident and everything like that, and just focus forward. Yes, but now let's look at it from the other angle of we can have a big vision and we're running towards that, and we just forget, everything that's been, with us up until now. How do you find that balance?
Well, look, developing digital communication platforms is not the same thing as a car race. So the decision-making processes are going to be different.
So, Dr. Rod, are you saying there's no one answer for everything?
No. If there was, we wouldn't be doing this, would we? No, there isn't. I mean, this is
other than the one answer being Jesus, right?
Well, always. Look, we don't really know too much about the process that Elon Musk went through before he came to this decision. See, he's not a public company, so he can, if he wishes, to be a one-man band when it comes to decision making. Personally, I don't think that's a good idea, and I think there's plenty of biblical wisdom that suggests we should enlist the input of others. They don't necessarily have to make decisions, but have some input so that we're making the wisest decision that we can, given all of the information. So I think, have a look at the past and see, well, why is it that Twitter is where it is today? Now, it's definitely not worth what he paid for it, so he's got that. That's an issue for him. What does he do to recoup the purchase price of Twitter? My understanding is that advertising revenue is significantly down. So that's another issue for him. So,
but the business is not losing money anymore, which it was before.
No, well, he's got about 30% of the staff he had before, which makes a bit of a difference as well. And so, I mean, he's changed the culture, and I think the culture probably had to change. Had to change there. But I guess what I'm getting at, it's not quite like Ricciardo making a decision midway through a race to change tyres, because every second matters. Here you can take a little bit of time to make the decision. And
but it's not like there's someone else right now creating an everything app, right? There's not. No one in the sphere that has anything. I mean, there's obviously Meta, but they're trying to go to the metaverse and everything like that. They're not creating something like.
Well, I think Meta acts more as an umbrella. It's a bit like a holding company, really. Whereas I think Elon Musk has got a different vision for X. Look, it's really interesting because if he does rebrand it and it succeeds, no one will even remember Twitter in 2 years' time. And some of this language that crept into our language, it'll disappear. Unless somehow there's a Twitter function. And you might keep some of that language in there. And I don't know that he's revealed enough for us to know exactly how he's going to do this. But, the guy's been a fairly successful person in business. SpaceX, of course, has hit some hurdles.
Some hurdles, some explosions.
Well, you could say, pretty well. I think they've gone bankrupt, haven't they? I'm pretty sure I've read that in the financial press, but it's a kind of administrative bankruptcy, though. They've hit hurdles there, and he's going to have a lot more competition against Teslas. There are a number of electric motor vehicles being produced now that are of a similar standard and function to Tesla motor vehicles. So there's he's got some challenges to deal with, but I mean, the issue really is, can he go forward without destroying what he already has, and out of that, can he create something bigger? I don't know the answer because I'm not enough of an expert. I don't, nor obviously do I have the data that he would have access to. But, he's the kind of person who can certainly bring a significant financial capital to bear on whatever problem he's dealing with at any particular point in time. And, I mean, if you have a look at the success of Tesla, that's a pretty amazing feat.
Yeah.
For somebody at the time he made that decision to say, I am going to build electric cars. I'm not going to build motor vehicles with internal combustion engines. I am going to build electric cars. I am going to, develop the batteries and all those sorts of things. That was a big thing. And guess what? He did it.
Yep.
That's,
a
pretty significant achievement.
And there's also part of me that wonders, now that like it's talking about like it's going to be changed next week or whatever. Like there's this, all this stuff. Obviously, there's a lot of conspiracy theories, but also Elon loves a bit of attention. So he may just be trolling a little bit. I know it's his long-term vision, but he may be trolling a little bit for a little bit of extra media attention just for now. Because let's be honest, he's good at that. He's good at media attention. But going on the actual decision, I think you're right there. I think part of the key of making those decisions, big, let's say, industry changing or business changing or whatever, like where we're changing our branding, or we're changing our model, or we're changing our direction or whatever in organization, as leaders, we need to make sure that we don't forget what has gotten us to this point. Because too often we can be trying to, especially as leaders, we're visionaries, we're looking forwards, we're seeing these amazing opportunities, but we forget what and who has actually gotten us to this point. And so we need to remember that. We need to remember, well, what, like, for example, with Elon, what is Twitter and what's the culture there and what actually makes it, great. We can't lose that, that culture and that essence that's in there that's made it so popular. But also, we can't forget the people that have helped us become that, which for Twitter's case, it's all the users. You can't forget all the users. In business, we can't forget all our customers just because we're trying to move forward to a different direction. We can't forget our, some of our staff that have helped us build up to a certain point. As pastors, we can't forget our congregation members just to try to chase a new idea or a new ministry somewhere or something like that. We need to make sure that when we're making those tough decisions to make a transition, that we're still including the people, the things, and the culture that actually made us what we are, and build on it rather than just throwing it all out in the scrap heap, so to speak. Hey, you've just watched an excerpt from the On the Cube Leadership podcast. If you liked it, give it a thumbs up. If it challenged your leadership or inspired you in some way, put a comment below. And if you want to watch the full episode or more content like this, check out our channel. And hey, consider subscribing while you're there.